Ladies and gentlemen, we are planting Roselle. That's Florida cranberry, otherwise known as Jamaican sorrel. Roselle, Rosella, Jamaican sorrel, Florida cranberry. Scientific name, Hibiscus sabdariffa. And we're planting them in this one top row of carrots that's on the top of a white blackberry grove out here, where all these rows are placed 8 foot apart, and in between is a row of something. Right now it's mainly carrots as we're going into the spring, and then we put some summer crops in, and then we harvest the carrots and weed and aerate the soil, and it's kind of a dual overlapped production crop strategy that we're deploying out here. We're on the shores of Goat Refuge Lake, an 18-acre lake in the Escambia Lakes, Alabama. Our basic approach right here is, yeah, that's a worm there that just came out of the compost, and he's roaming around trying to find his preferred place here. Well, this soil is getting richer and richer, and it is becoming the place for worms to find a home. So we're just going to cover him with a little more compost there and hope he finds his way around here. Okay, so basically, we've been through here on a pass weeding. These are wide rows that we kind of raise up in a hill-like bed, so they're well drained, and we can sit down and access a lot more crop rather than having a thin row. What we are doing with the Roselle is we're poking holes in here, about 6 holes across the row. We're putting in a Rosella seed. These seeds have been soaked about 6 hours here. You can soak them longer, but you don't want to soak them too long because they start fermenting and they can decay. They can, break down, and they won't even start if they won't even hatch hatch. They won't germinate if you let them sit and rot. So I'll put it that way. Okay, then I put a little compost into the hole after the seed. I've got a bucket of compost here that's made from leaves and all kinds of organic matter, and I get that packed down in on top of the seed. There's already compost down in these rows, been integrated with the rows, been sprinkled on top, and then we go over, we sprinkle some more on top around the whole area here. So all the carrots are getting another dose, if you will, of compost. So it's basically about every 6 inches, and it doesn't have to be perfectly linear going across the row. I'm poking these holes here. I'm not going to go right on top of a carrot here. I'm going to go over to the side here, maybe one here, 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 here. So I'm just kind of getting them across the row. The germination rate, in our experience, is pretty good on these seeds. It's 80-90%. And if we get, out of the 6 seeds going across this row, 6 or 7, if we get 4 or 5 good plants, that's fine. If we get 6, that's great. What we're looking to do is to have them grow in here as they grow up high. Untrimmed, they'll grow right up to in the fall to 6, 7, 8 foot. We want them to give each other some support. We don't want a standalone one, especially with the wind of the storms and the weather here in the Gulf area. So we have some together, and they're all spaced 6 inches now. They could be thinned out more if they're about a foot apart. That's fine. We could do some thinning, but our goal is to have across the row, out of the 6, 3, 4, 5. The worst case, let's say 3 plants. The ones that are closest to the southern exposure, which is out that way, we're going to be pruning. Doing some early pruning to get extra bushiness to it, and then the ones at the back, we'll leave them unpruned so they can just grow to the full height and just straight up. So we're kind of creating a little colony, if you will, in the row where the plants support each other against the wind I mean, they can handle a lot. Their stalks are strong and they can handle wind and all that. We had no problem with any being broken by wind this last year. We didn't at all. We had a problem with some goats breaking into some of them and eating them all up. They love them. But this is the way we're doing it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 or 7 holes. I got 7 in this case right here. And I got my seeds. You know, when they're just nice and soakable, they're a little fatter, easier to grab. Pretty much grab them one by one. Sometimes I'll put them in one hand and then grab them out of the other. But you just pop one in per. Don't need to double up. They're about the right size that you can grab one easily and get it right in that hole. Oh, the holes are about 1 inch deep. And then we grab our compost, pack it in there, break up the soil a little bit just around the edges. Everything's been broken up already a bit because on the weeding phase that we just went through, and we broke up a lot of this. There was some crusty soil on the top, so we broke that up a bit, and all by hand. The tips of the fingers, it's fine. Okay, we get that compost in there, and then we go over everything with some more compost. We don't buy much fertilizer, folks. We don't go to the store and buy a big bag of nitrogen white pellets or anything here. We're just really not into that. We're into the natural farming. We don't need that stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the way we'll go down the row. Got a lot more work to do, but this is only the hibiscus would be in this top row. We wouldn't put it down in the other rows because it would shade the blackberries. Make that clear, this stuff grows high. So it's just this top row here. We won't be shading out anything except a little grass on the other side.